I'm delighted to have this opportunity to speak at IMB conference on AI meets the brain. I'm going to talk about how LLMs and other recent AI technologies and AI models help in neuroimaging analysis. What I'm going to talk about is not possible without significant help from Naeem Mohammed and Yushin Z. Um, They were integral in preparation of this presentation and in doing the research it takes. It so happens that I'm not an expert in neuroimaging analysis or neuroscience for that matter. And I know some of the AI issues here, but there is a lot of domain knowledge that I did not have. They have been they have more interest in neuroscience and or cognitive science, and hence they were very able assistants in presenting what I'm going to present. It's also wonderful that they will be able to join you in person while I'll try to join remotely when this talk is given. And hence, there should not be any problem in, answering any questions you might have that on the subject we discuss. So in this general area of deep learning and use of deep learning in neuroimaging, there is clearly very rapidly growing interest. So as you can see here, this is, even though this is somewhat of an outdated data, you see the growth has been already significant and it has only continued to grow. Besides the growing publication, on the right hand side you see the different modalities related to neuroimaging and neuroscience data on which deep learning has been applied. Certainly the structural MRI is the largest component, followed by functional MRI and others. Now, what we did in planning our talk is to focus on primarily last 3 years and some of the latest material. So you'll not see much older material in what I'm going to present. And hopefully that means that I'll be able to review for you some of the latest in the areas that I believe you'll be interested in. With regards to the neuroimaging data, there are several unique challenges, several unique opportunities. Often there is limited sample size. While there are some larger repositories available, when you filter down to specific area of research, particular medical condition, particular type of data, particular demographics that you're interested in, then the number of available sample, data set, amount of set data that is available is pretty small in most cases. On the other hand, the data is high dimensional and may contain millions of voxels per subject. And there is a significant imbalance between this high dimensional input data and small sample sizes that could lead to overfitting. There can be variability by scanner, the physical devices used to collect the data. And of course, privacy is a very significant topic. But even when you consider the 3 issues of high dimensional data or risk of overfitting and scanner variability, the deep learning techniques and neural networks present particularly valuable venue to the compared to anything that we had done in the past in traditional machine learning. I think that deep learning helps you exploit and analyze data the best possible way now. So here are some of the benefits of deep learning. The first is automated feature extraction. So deep learning can learn a hierarchical representation directly from raw data, reducing the need for manual feature engineering. Deep learning, you can capture complex spatial and temporal patterns of in MRI, fMRI, and EEG data. With regards to improved prediction and classification, you can achieve higher accuracy in diagnosing neurological disorders, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, epilepsy. You can enhance disease progression modeling and early detection. With regards to high dimensional data, you can more effectively process a large volume of MRI data and fMRI data without requiring dimensional reduction. You can extract meaningful features even from high resolution images with millions of voxels. Multimodal integration, allows you to combine different neuroimaging modalities, whether you have fMRI, MRI, EEG, PET, for more comprehensive analysis. You can, in deep learning learns shared representation across modalities to improve insights. Scalability and generalization. The models can be trained on large data sets to improve generalization across diverse populations. You can adapt to different neuroimaging data sets despite variations in scanner types and acquisitions. It is better than other alternatives. With regards to data augmentation and transfer learning, you can use synthetic data generation and augmentation to improve model robustness. You can transfer learn. That allows models to be trained on large data sets to be fine-tuned for smaller neuroimaging data sets. So there is emerging work on creating pre-training on very large data sets and then doing fine-tuning on the very specific domain-specific data. You have better spatial temporal analysis, so you can capture dynamic brain activity in fMRI and EEG over time. You can models, you can capture complex relations between brain regions for functional connectivity studies. And there is a chance of, you can minimize subjective bias in compared to manual interpretations, and it provides objective data-driven insights for clinicians and researchers. So with regards to just the multimodal, just digging a little bit deeper, this neural network-based approaches reduce complexity and the need for label data. You need to minimally process your data, and that can improve the robustness, and then you can capture the latent factors much better. That will be hard to capture with more traditional techniques. And you can integrate domain knowledge. Expertise from neuroimaging research can be integrated. In particular, my team works on neurosymbolic AI. That symbolic part can capture a variety of knowledge related to the domain and the task at hand, and come with better solutions. Although today I'm not going to talk much about our research. It's mostly what I'm doing is almost like what I learned and what my students helped me learn, and that's what I'm going to present that. So this has been also something that I've been learning as I prepared this talk for this talk. So with regards to multiple modalities, you can see the picture on the right hand side. There can be better correlations between activation maps, between the features, and then there is at the inference phase, at the computation time, you can bring in the features for those particular data types, and then come up with a good set of labels. Here are some additional observations with regards to multimodal learning, and so you can improve predictive power. Combining multiple data types and allows better prediction accuracy. Multimodal fusion is of course possible, and that allows you to capture more relationship when compared to looking at each of the different models separately. when you are able to simultaneously process data of different modalities, a lot more is to be learned. I mean, just think about human brain. I mean, we are using all our senses to understand anything simultaneously. And so brain does this very well. A kind of a little bit of that is something that you can observe with this emerging multimodal data learning techniques. Um, you can also holistically understand brain functions. So you can combine, let's say functional imaging with linguistic data, uh, like symptom descriptions, behavioral data, genetics, all of them leading to more personalized treatment approaches. And you can also improve the interpretability, integrating text, clinical history with imaging data can improve interpretability, and you can trace specific linguistic cues to the brain region activations. These kind of also capabilities are significant. So today, I'm going to, uh, you know, take 4 of the topics and take very selected papers in each of the 4 topics and essentially summarize them for you. So they belong to these 4 topics. The first one is in brain disorder, and the work that you have to do to study brain disorder, segmentation, diagnosis, disease prediction. So let us look at, here are the papers that we identified in this particular area of discussion. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 papers, and as you can see, they deal with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, neurological disorders, and such. Right? And you can see that all these papers are fairly recent, 2021, 22, 20, all the way to 25, this year itself. Let's see what we can learn from these papers. So first, and this is really just a summary essentially of what these papers talk about. So first is the multimodal data integration for dementia diagnosis. And, here they integrate variety of medical data, demographics, history, cognitive tests, neuroimaging to automatically diagnose Alzheimer's disease and other dementia. And models perform fairly well when compared with expert neurologists and can detect disease-specific brain patterns using interpretability tools. The second one is Alzheimer detections with MRI and 3D CNNs. So 3D convolutional neural networks are trained on structural MRI scans to accurately detect early Alzheimer's and distinguish between healthy individuals and those with mild cognitive impairment. And the models can also help predict disease progression, that can help with early diagnosis or early intervention rather. Then we, the papers discuss predictive scoring therapy response. And here models can predict how well stroke patients will respond to language therapy, and predict, based on MRI lesion location and therapy time, enabling personalized treatments. Next, they improve PASIA severity prediction post-stroke. And the CNNs are used to analyze whole brain morphometry to predict aphasia severity. And they outperform the previous work in machine learning models. And they detect 3D patterns beyond the lesion area, offering deeper insight into brain function and recovery potential. And on the right-hand side, we list a whole whole body of algorithms and approaches that have been utilized by this work. So here, AI in medical imaging for neurological disorder A pipeline is shown, and what is shown here is that starting with the data on the left-hand side, you can learn through different convolutional layers models of the brain boundaries, gray matter and ventricles, white matter and abnormalities, and then ultimately come up with the classification layer and show where the tumors are or whatever distinguished features that you are interested in that can be shown. The second area of our research is, or rather our investigation is brain-computer interfaces. So in this area, we identified these two very good papers. I think the first one is with MIT and Harvard Medical School, and then the right one is with I forget exactly who the yeah, this is IIT and California State University and such. Anyway, with these two papers, let's see what we learned from them. So here, in brain-computer interfaces, what you learn is that you can look at your two modalities, EEG and the blood flow related data, and then from that you are essentially able to identify. And I personally don't understand all the details of what they've done here, but essentially you are trying to understand the movement intentions, right? Whether you intend to move the right hand or left hand, kind of things. After cleaning the data, here the key features are extracted and fed into the AI models like CNN and by LSTM to classify and predict the intended movement accurately. This is an area of very, I think, significant research, and a lot more is coming. I'm not sure this is the latest in that particular field, but I think that being able to say what is your intent is very critical in building these interfaces. Here, the next important thing is to develop explainable AI for brain-computer interfaces. So traditionally, you have a predictive model, and you're able to kind of predict some confidence score your intention, but you're not able to understand what's happening, and like all these questions I've listed on the right hand side. Why this? Why not other? When does it fail? All that kind of stuff. And can I actually trust that? So with here with the the new efforts attempt to create explainable model, in fact create explainable models, and they are able to then help you understand why, and when it fails, and know when to trust the model prediction. So here so this so-called XAI XAI is explainable AI. BCI adds explanations by showing the brain patterns, for example, timing, location, and frequency that led to the decision, right? And this will improve the trust in the system. In the paper that we reviewed, they kind of created this model. You can see the one on the top right, and within that they want to portray the signal space, task space, user space, analytic space, and from there to get to the with better understanding of what's happening. So here we want to get the transparency without compromising accuracy. So the design space for this BCI consists of these parameters that I already just described, 4 parameters. And while these parameters provide insight into brain activity, they themselves are not sufficient. We essentially enhance the XAI explainability by making black box model more interpretable, prompting ongoing discussions on developers. So, and then basically what happens is that these systems are enable conversations between the developers, researchers, and policymakers. Okay, that now what do they do for that? So in some sense, in the figure on the left, this shows these design spaces for developing BCI. And here, these are the kind of things that they try to understand. Who are the users? Of course, they are the, but then you're trying to find explanation interfaces and explanation frameworks. So causal relationship, entities and activities, statistical observations, and deterministic laws. The other thing is that, about the what, they are trying to, bring in a variety of different things that you use, recreational technology, prosthetics, neurofeedback. And these are all the different ways that you interact with the human brain and the world, and then fit into the model. The interpretation part, is the one that adds the understanding. And in the right hand side, you can see that there is something, where the algorithmic framework have your numerical and deep learning part, as well as the symbolic AI part. And there is a good body of the work in my team, where we have identified a whole variety of areas, like causality, like abstraction, like planning and reasoning, like explainability, like safety. So we in our work we show how um, knowledge, for example, it can be a process knowledge, it can be a guideline, it can be a protocol, how those that kind of knowledge can be used to improve the behavior of the neural network models, and essentially make sure that the data-driven learning is conducted within the framework of the domain knowledge and expert knowledge. So here also they are trying to do, they're combining both of these, and I thought that was very, very interesting. I have not in detail studied the methods of using the numerical and symbolic AI here and the whole bunch of work that we have done. Our own research has more focus on different class of applications, not the neuroimaging so far. But I think that they potentially can be brought together. So now let's move on to the third of the 4 topics that we are going to be discussing, decoding brain cognitive processes. Here we have selected 2 papers. The first one is brain and algorithm partially coverage in natural language processing. And the second one is from thought to action, how a hierarchy of neural dynamics support language production. Both are fairly interesting, projects. So here in this study, there's a cohort of size 102 subjects, and each of the subjects were given 400 separate sentences, isolated sentences. And fMRI and MEG were used to collect data. So here the idea was to compare a variety of deep language models to uncover the computational principles behind brain-like representations of sentences. So they found that similarity between the algorithms and the brain primarily depends on their ability to predict words from context, and that the similarity reveals the rise and maintenance of perceptual or visual, lexical, and compositional representations within each cortical region. So the study overall shows that modern language algorithms partially uh, converge towards brain-like solutions, and thus delineates the, then sort of shows you or helps you with the foundation of natural language processing. As you can see on the image here, you see the three different kinds of embeddings: visual, lexical, and compositional. And there, of course, you have visual that uses CNN trained to recognize characters. For lexical, we use something like what to wear kind of stuff. And so basically activation associated with a word independent of the context. For compositional embedding, GPT-2 was used. So that is the deep language model. And then they're so short. You can see on the right hand side the activation and the ability to predict correctly or not. Um, uh, this is an interesting, in the same paper, it shows different parts of the brain and how it responds to when we read and understand words, and how this matches these three AI models. So the brain first recognizes the shape of the word, like how it looks, then understands the meaning of the individual word, and finally figures out the meaning of the whole sentence. And essentially, they found that the way brain processes language step by step is similar to how these AI models seem to work, from seeing letters to understanding words to putting together a whole sentence and its understanding. So I think it's a nice visual. Um, in the second paper, this is from Meta, and explores natural processes behind the language production by analyzing the brain activity of skilled typists using MEG and EEG. And sort of it confirms hierarchical linguistic theories, showing that neural activities, um, before word production, follows a structured sequence of context, words, syllabus, and letter-like representations. On the data that was collected, you can see that there are 4 levels of representation that were used, from the bottom letter level one hot encoder to syllable sub word embedding model to word based model. Here the study was done in Spanish, and then the context overall, which is already GPT's hidden activations base analysis was used, processing was used. So it showed that the overall context, it started with the context, context that took the lead, and then other levels of in the hierarchy took shape, so context followed by word, then syllabus and letter, and then it shows how on the onset, and then after typing, the offset. So high level representation detected before lower level representation, which is interesting. Let's get into the fourth of the topic. We will discuss LLMs as agents. And here we found some very, very interesting work. The first work is from MIT and Harvard Medical Harvard Medical School. And this is on vision language models, or particularly voxel prompt. So here they essentially have used an agent for medical image analysis. And the second one is one from Meta, and it talks about essentially use of medical experts to improve the vision language model for doing some fairly interesting and useful work. Let's look at the voxel prompt. So here is a vision language agent for grounded medical image analysis. And this one addresses specific medical or clinical needs. So the idea here is that these LLM agents simplify the task for fairly detailed analysis of the content of the new images. The analysis is fairly comprehensive and versatile. I mean, instead of using independent tools like MATLAB or others, here you don't have to worry about doing individual tasks and then do the combined work. Individual tasks are automatically created, and then results are obtained, and then next set of tasks are done based as a follow-up. And in the end, you get fairly useful results. The analysis involves multimodal analysis. So it integrates natural language queries, 3D images, and analytical computations on those images to provide quantitative grounded image analysis. It also does, there's a planning agent, so it also creates the code and executes all of the components, all the tasks involved. And this is the main slide. It explains it very nicely. You may have questions such as compute the change in tumors size since the last visit. And so here the agent-based infrastructure is able to create the agents performing all these steps. So the step one involves encoding. And so it calls up image feature encoding. And that code that you see there, ENC code encode, for V1, V2, that is, over the images 1 and 2, that is created. The second task you can see is, image segmentation. So the image embeddings that you got, on that you're calling for segmentation, and that task is done, followed by the third task where you're asking for the tumors and the ratio between those tumor. So, and then it converts into the language. So 1.8 times increase, or the result is plus 4.3 ml increase in the tumor size. So in the process, it does, as I already said, adaptive instruction generation, instruction convolution networks. So language abilities from the LLM modulate vision network computations to enable language conditioned segments and fine-grained feature analysis. And then it does this attention-driven vision modeling also. So all of these things are done from a relatively high-level instructions. That is shown in here. So these are a variety of prompts that are shown, for example, if you see a prompt here, does lesion enhance after contrast is administered? And the answer would be the lesion exhibits contrast enhancement. And you can see different kinds of queries that are there: language characterization, analysis across visits. The first example we saw, that was analysis across visits, multiple acquisition analysis, all these things. So these are all the things that I think a clinician would want to do. And rather than a researcher or clinical support person using the tools to, analyze the data and do the analysis, entire process of, you can start with a fairly good natural language query, and then all the results are, that is readable and actionable is given to you. So it is fairly powerful, system and it is fairly customized for a specific task that is involved here. The next activity which involves this Villa M3 framework. Now, traditionally, what happens is that uh, a vision language model has these 3 stages. You have vision pre-training, vision language pre-training, and then instruction fine-tuning. And that is fine, but for a highly specific job, that an expert might be doing, or where you really have to bring in some domain specific expertise or tools, you want to take the 4th step here, which is specialized instruction fine tuning. And it utilizes domain knowledge via expert models. So let's see what it says about expert model. That it dynamically integrates specialized medical knowledge directly from expert trained models. That specifically improves accuracy and reliability of for real world healthcare applications. Now, so what you'll notice here is that on the right hand side, you can see 3 highly specialized models are talked about. Volumetric segmentation in CT images, 3D MRI segmentation of brain tumor, classification of chest X-ray, right? So these are the expert models. And to create this VILA M3 training framework, there is a pre-training, self-supervised training on image token. There is a visual language pre-training. The next step is instruction fine-tuning. So, this improves coherence and flow of text operations. The most significant part is this expert information guided instruction fine-tuning, right? So in this case, these 3 more expert models are integrated, and the model is trained to know how to use effectively, when and how to use this expert model. So let's see what happens here. On the left-hand side, you see, visual question answering. Question is, what tumor is shown in this image? And the answer would be high-grade glioblastoma, sorry. Then you can instruct on, segment any tumor in the image. And it says, it uses, in this case, that Brat's model, I think the one that is used for brain tumor. And so I segment the tumor using that model. It says, it does that. Then it says, is a brain tumor? And there's a classification, yes, it is. And then describe the image in detail. So then it comes up with a fairly readable text. This is a brain MRI image containing a high-grade glioblastoma. So as you can see now, compared to some generic work, this one does very specific work that an expert may want to, clinical expert may want to, have performed. So here, you can see that there is a possibility of, on the raw CT, you can see that there is a segmentation done. And you can extract that and do further operations thereof. the models without the expert models don't do as well. And then when you combine Villa M3 with experts, um, it does better. And then when you also use the powerful large language model like GPT-4o, then you can see the quality of response is very, very good and very useful for a human. Right? So it says the liver appears to be marked in red, and there is a small highlighted area within it marked in blue, which could represent abnormalities such as lesion, mass, or tumor. Right. So in a way, you can see that Villa M3 with expert does have all the image processing expertise, and with combining with GPT-4o, you are able to communicate very effectively with the end user or human. Well, so that covers our investigation onto the 4 areas where LLMs and AI models do something to improve neuroimaging analysis. So in conclusion, we can say that AI models can enhance predictive accuracy. Deep learning extracts representation, captures underlying relationships. Deeper understanding of brain functions. We are at a certain stage where I think we are seeing very strong promise. It's not yet all done, but multimodal analysis uncover hidden complex neurological mechanisms. It improves clinical interpretation and decision making. So AI-powered insights enhance clinical decision making and trust into the system. And then, they can integrate behavior, linguistic, and imaging data, and they can create, solutions that are very useful for human without having to get into nitty-gritty of using specific tools, getting outputs, feeding into the next step, and so on and so forth. So the entire process can be supported through this agent-centric mechanism. This is my team, but I already identified 2 of them that did exceptional job in helping me create that this particular content. Again, Naeem and Yushin are there, and I should be present also. We can take questions now.